Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Jill Tolles joins us. She's the CEO of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
2025 is bringing big changes for Nevada businesses. If you have more than 5 employees and have been operating for 3 years or more, you must now comply with new state retirement plan mandates. The Vegas Chamber 401k plan makes it easy, offering a proven, customizable, and cost-effective plan for employers and employees to save with tax advantages. Visit vegaschamber.com to explore options and see how the Vegas Chamber can help you start saving for your future.
This summer, all roads lead to Hobie's Casino for trucks or bucks. Win up to $1,000 in cash every week. Then buckle up and win a brand new Tacoma or $35,000 in cash. Shift the winning into high gear at Hobie's Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome back to the program my friend Jill Tolles. She is the CEO now of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's always good to see you, and it's hard not to just keep talking.
Yes, we've done a show already before we even turned on the cameras. All right, so I want to go back into the 60s, the women's movement, burn the bras, equality, ERA. There were so many things going on. And yet here we are in 2026, and we're still talking about women's issues. And there's going to be another meeting on the status and achievement of women in Nevada. You've got 2 of them actually coming up, one in Reno and one in Las Vegas. You've already done one in Elko.
Yeah.
It seems to me that so there's 2 sides to this. I look around and I see women in leadership roles all over the place.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, leading in, with the Guinn Center. I look at Mary Beth Seawold running the Las Vegas Chamber, Amanda Hilton running the Nevada Mining Association.
Yes.
The list goes on, head of the Gaming Association.
Yeah.
But yet, we're still dealing with inequality. Why?
Yeah. I knew you'd ask me why. And let me back up and share what the Guinn Center's work is in this area. And Guinn Center, nonpartisan, independent, statewide, nonpartisan policy research center. And we took on this project because we were approached by Isla from Nevada Women's Fund and the commission, the State Commission for Women, and a few other individuals who were interested in looking at where do women stand today in economic factors, education, representation in government, affordability, healthcare, and violence, and so forth. And so we hadn't had a comprehensive report done in about 20 years. And Isla said it profoundly. She said, it's hard to know where we need to move the needle if we don't even know where the needle is. So it started with a question of just where do women stand in each of these areas? And so our research team did a deep dive data analysis. We looked at national statistics from the CDC, Census Bureau, and then state statistics from the Nevada Health Authority and other credible sources. and really just put together a digital story map. I highly recommend people go on to guinncenter.org and look at it for themselves. You can go in there and there's interactive maps where you can dive into each county and look at these statistics broken down, or look into the bar charts and see in what areas do we see inequality still exist with certain professions. So first and foremost, it's a data project. It doesn't answer the question why. It just answers the question where. Where do we stand? And I also just have to say, because I love men, that men
I'm
are.
sure your husband Parr is happy to hear that.
Yes. And so this also tells the story of men. And it also tells the story of all Nevadans, really. I mean, a lot of these economic factors in particular that we look at are issues that all Nevadans face, regardless of their background.
Right. As I looked through some of the information, and I can't say that I went through the entire thing, but one of the things that stood out to me was that you were looking at a 50-50, makeup here
Right.
of men and women. It wasn't just about women.
Right. So you go back to historic perspectives of the 60s, and you might remember those a little better than I do.
Yes, you weren't born.
Wasn't born yet, but of course, I do know that you're right. The famous bra burnings and the Equal Rights Amendment, something I am very familiar with from my time in the legislature. And where did we go from there to here? And why do we still see these differences persist? And what you saw was, particularly in the 80s through the 2000s, there was a really strong push to remove legal barriers and to emphasize education, opening doors of opportunity, which is really what America is about, and seeing how that made a difference. So we saw huge strides in the 80s through the early 2000s, and we've continued to see some strides in certain areas. But there's some areas where things have remained status quo, or even areas where women in particular are falling further behind their male counterparts.
Right, Kate. So let's start with some examples.
Yep. So on the where did the needle move forward, saw huge strides in education attainment, which again came from all of that work through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on.
Aren't women beating men in that area
Yes.
all across the country?
Yes. So in Nevada, 64% of women, or 57% in the Nevada system of higher education are pursuing and obtaining their higher education degrees, their bachelor's degrees, and so forth. In fact, in every single category, from high school graduation through certification attainment, through our community colleges, bachelor's, master's, and so on, women in every single category are outpacing men, which that's a story in and of itself for men as well. And it's not a desirable thing for that to continue. We want to see both men and women pursuing degrees that translate, or certification apprenticeships that translate to better income stability and prosperity. That's good for all of society. But that education push worked. So it does tell you something about how concerted efforts and programs definitely work to engage more women in, let's say, STEM sciences and so forth. But what's interesting is it hasn't caught up yet in income. So as you look at each income category and you compare that to degree attainment, we still see a lag for women, particularly the higher up you go. And so we do have equality in one area, and that's minimum wage jobs, right? Because they're pretty set. But once you get into management, or you get into higher tech or higher skill level jobs, you don't see that quite catching up. Now, this is where I personally, as a curious person, I'm sure you are and your listeners are too, is to see how much of that is generational as people start to retire. Are we going to continue to see more and more women step in across the board in management roles and in the C-suite roles? And as that becomes more of the norm, like you said, there's the glass ceiling where you can see the next level, but you can't break through. There's also the concrete ceiling, which is a term in sociology that you can't even see examples of that person who's gone before you, so you can't even imagine it. Well, now as you see more women stepping into these roles, or women of color or different backgrounds stepping into these roles, then the younger generation has more of a path to follow.
Okay, but do you think the income inequality side of it is a deliberate thing, or is it accidental?
So there are some things that the data cues for us. So for example, and I'm going to be presenting this data along with the key researcher, Robin Evans, who did an amazing job, incredible researcher. But we're going to look at, we saw on average in Nevada, women make 83 cents on the dollar. That's not true across the whole state. So in counties like Clark County, it's 86 cents on the dollar. In Elko County, it's 59 cents on the dollar. And so let's tie that back to educational attainment. Well, we see engineering degrees are still predominantly filled with male students and pursuing those degrees. There's definitely an increase in women, more than we have had historically, but hasn't caught up to equity. And things like metallurgical sciences and geology and so forth, we still don't see women gravitating towards those positions as much. And so that could be a portion. We see more in STEM, we see an increase in women who code. Now with AI, we'll see how that goes. But women going into computer sciences, we see more women going into health sciences, and we see more women going into psychiatry and psychology.
But also into construction. I mean,
right.
We've had women on this program, young women.
Right.
And when I say young women, women in their late 20s and to mid 30s, who are doing extraordinary things,
right.
and have risen up through the ranks here, and are taking leadership positions. So I mean, isn't
making their way up into project management and hopefully into construction ownership, which is where you really get into the wealth making factors. And so some of that is, are we making those pathways as attractive and as available? And then over time, will we continue to see it catch up in earnings and wealth?
Well, my daughter, for example, let me brag here for a
Yep.
moment, is an electrical contractor. She started a business in Hawaii 20 odd years ago and has been very successful in that business.
Mm-hmm.
Started out as an apprentice,
Yep.
worked I think like 8 years in an apprenticeship, and in a tough business where it was mostly men at that point in time, and she hung with it and ended up with a very successful business. So I mean, it's been happening.
Yes.
I mean, nothing like this can happen in a rush.
Right. But to your point, since the 1960s, we've given it a lot of time, and there are some people out there who like to see it happen faster. Let me finish, because I see that look on your face.
Yeah.
We're going to go to break real soon. So on the plus side of the ledger, you have educational attainment. And then you just pointed on another piece, that women are crushing it in entrepreneurship, that 40% of businesses are owned by women. Now, primarily sole proprietorships or small businesses, but that's nothing to shake a stick at. Those are jobs, that's revenue for the state, that's wealth creation, that's independence, it's economic security. And so those are things we definitely want to celebrate, which is why this project was called the Status and Achievement of Women. And then the last thing that we've seen also is just an increase in women representation in government.
Which in Nevada is huge.
It is huge.
A majority women set up in the legislature.
Right. I was in the legislature in 2019 when we broke history as the first female majority in the United States. And that was pretty exciting. And we've stayed a majority ever since. And again, the goal is not to continue to grow forward. There needs to be equity and representation in all areas of the state, that our legislature should look like the makeup of our state. But it was a very exciting time, and we've seen some exciting outcomes from that.
All right, let's take a break. As you pointed out, we'll be right back after this timeout.
If you can't feel safe in your home, in your neighborhood, nothing else matters. Walking a beat, as sheriff and as governor, Joe Lombardo has dedicated his life to keeping us safe. He strengthened domestic violence laws, made schools safer, and increased penalties on drug dealers. And today, Violent crime is down. Property crime, down. Domestic crimes and crimes against the elderly, all down. Joe Lombardo, he's making a difference.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jill Toll. She is the CEO of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. Before we get too far into this and run out of time, I want you to tell us about the Reno event that's coming up with the Nevada Women's Fund. It's on August 13th here in Reno. How do people get tickets if they want to show up?
Absolutely. So Nevada Women's Fund was so excited about this report and wanted to get the information out there and open up a dialogue to get to the why is this and what can be done about it. So the GSR is generously hosting the event, thanks to the Morello Group. And August 13th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., people could go on NevadaWomen'sFund.org and they could secure their tickets. There's also an event in Las Vegas on September 10th from 8 to 11, and that's also at a Morello Group property at the Sahara.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so terrific. Now, let's get back to the conversation. So you were talking about having people be able to look up glass ceiling, concrete ceiling, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've had two major women candidates running for president, and that's a huge step.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen women running for governor in Nevada for a long time. They have not achieved it yet, but that's only a question of time, I believe. And I think the same for President of the United States. And it doesn't matter which party you're talking about. I think both parties have very effective women as governors, senators, et cetera, which in my opinion invariably make the best people for presidents because of the CEO experience that they've had.
Right.
So I mean, I think that's showing up as a good sign because we hadn't seen it before. But you know, some of the things that you talk about, you know, the one that jumps out at me right away, childcare costs.
Yes.
This is just something that we have to fix. And I don't know how you do it specifically, but the cost of childcare is insane, and it's keeping a lot of women, especially women that have more than one child, with an inability to do any of the things that you're trying for them to achieve.
Yes. Well, that's what's so fun about this work is that the Guinn Center doesn't lobby or advocate. We don't start with a platform in mind. And we just follow the data. And what we were interested in as we stepped back and looked at all the data together and then cross-referenced it with some of our other work, we found that affordability factor to be a huge burden. And one of the things that's really keeping not just women behind, but also our economy. So, for example, we have two reports that we did on labor force participation rates with the Center for Business and Economic Research out of UNLV. We partnered on that with them. And we found, asking the question, why was Nevada the third largest drop in the nation after COVID in labor force participation. So people left the workforce and didn't return, or they moved out of the state. People who weren't working moved in the state, et cetera. But one of the largest impacted groups were people of child-rearing age. And when surveyed, women in particular said the reason that they left the workforce and couldn't come back in was because of access issues and affordability issues around childcare. Well, that has a multiplying factor, because if they're leaving the workforce and they're not making a living, that's going to impact housing affordability, where we found that 50% of single women, 50% are excessively cost burdened on their rents. So that means more than half of their income, however they're getting it, is going to rent.
Which usually a third was the number that you looked at.
Right, and
for a household.
Right, and another 25%, so 75% total are cost burdened, and 50% are excessively cost burdened. The other 25% are cost burdened, meaning 30% of their income goes to housing. And then you look at 20% of women reported that they weren't seeking any kind of health care for themselves or their family because they couldn't afford it, or 14% who didn't have insurance. And then you have 25 to 35% of costs of their earnings were going to childcare. Well, that stacks up. Where do you have money for food? Where do you have money for medication, for living, for clothes, for anything?
Well, and why do you even bother getting a job?
And why do you bother?
Yes. When your costs are so high, to be able to have a job that invariably isn't going to pay you enough to pay the child care.
Right. So you're on Medicaid and you're on SNAP and you're seeking government assistance left and right, and then you get stuck in this cycle. So one of the things that we do at the Guinn Center is we really let the data drive. And as we looked at those compounding factors, that if you can address and better understand the barriers to access to childcare and how to make it more affordable, then you can help with the economic issues of entering the labor force, contributing to the economy, and also addressing some of the affordability issues. And then the last tie to make is violence against women.
Okay, well,
because then women won't leave a violent situation if they're not financially secure.
Okay, let's take another quick break and we'll come right back.
Okay.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. Our community is our foundation. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
At Nevada Urban Indians in Reno, your health is our priority. Our medical clinic welcomes everyone. We accept all insurances, ensuring quality care is within reach. Nevada Urban Indians, your partners in health.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jill Toll. She's the CEO of the Guinn Center for Policy Priorities. You brought up just before we went to break here, violence. And that wasn't one of the topics that jumped out at me.
Right.
Explain.
Well, you have to understand that when we see these cycles of violence continue, domestic violence, 70% of women report some incident of intimate
70%.
Intimate violence.
Wow.
And so that could be all the way from child abuse to domestic violence to stalking. And so when you look at situations where women stay and where their children are exposed to that violence and those cycles, it's oftentimes because they don't have financial security to leave. So all of these are interwoven and they create impacting issues for generations. So when we looked at the economic factors, we looked at affordability, we looked at some of the barriers, it generated interest in pursuing a study on childcare. And thanks to the Redfield Foundation, we're going to be studying access to childcare and some solutions that have worked here in Nevada and other states.
Okay, in the last couple of seconds here, please repeat where people can get tickets for this. The event coming up in Reno on August 13th.
Absolutely. So they can look at our report and all our research at guinncenter.org. And if they want to buy tickets for the events on August 13th and September 10th, they can go to nevadawomen'sfund.org.
Jill Tolles, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Please come back soon.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Ahern Hotel, where bold ambition meets unforgettable experiences. Feel your game day vibes and celebrate with great food at All American Sports Kitchen, serving amazing flavors and fan favorites. Sip and savor at Aroma Barista Bar. Handcrafted coffee roasted to perfection. Step into the Ahern Live showroom, where concerts, comedy, and unforgettable performances light up the night. We also have the David Yule Art Gallery. It's the only one in the world, and his work is breathtaking. Browse the gift shop. It's a treasure trove of keepsakes, chic essentials, and one-of-a-kind finds. And the space. Almost 30,000 square feet of meetings and events areas ready for you. From weddings and birthdays to quinceañeras, trade shows, banquets, and beauty pageants. Bigger ideas? Let the Ahern team handle all the details so your event is flawless. Ahern Hotel, where moments become memories. Book your next gathering today.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. If you want to be on our mailing list, go to the website, nevadanewsmakers.com, and sign up. You'll get the guest list in advance every Friday, and on Mondays, a whole list of our new archive shows going back to 2003. We'll see you on the next broadcast.